The strange invitation. The rain fell quietly over the old city as Jake sat near his bedroom window, looking at the stars. It had been weeks since he last heard from his alien friend, Nail. They met 2 years ago during the peace program between Earth and the Veari, a powerful and mysterious alien race. Jake was one of the few humans chosen to study with them. Nail became his closest friend in that time. Then, without warning, Nail disappeared. But tonight something strange happened. A small silver drone flew through Jake's window and hovered in front of him. A soft voice came from it. It was Nail. "Jake, my mother wishes to meet you. Please, come to Veari Prime. This is important." That was all it said before the drone dropped a glowing crystal. As soon as Jake touched it, the crystal lit up and pulled him into a beam of light. In seconds, he was no longer in his room. He stood on a floating platform, high above a glowing alien city. Tall towers of blue glass stretched into the sky. Strange, flying creatures passed between them. Below, people moved like rivers of light. Everything felt quiet, like a dream. Nail was there, waiting. "You came?" Nail said, smiling, but his eyes looked worried. "What's going on?" Jake asked. "Why did your mother send for me?" Nail didn't answer. Instead, he handed Jake a cloak and led him into a narrow tunnel filled with soft, humming sounds. The walls glowed faintly with green light. They passed rooms filled with strange plants, glowing symbols, and silent watchers. Finally, they reached a large chamber. At the center stood a woman, tall, elegant, and alien. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes deep violet. She wore a long robe that moved like water. "I'm Lady Vora," she said, her voice smooth like wind through leaves. "You are Jake, son of Lyra. I have waited a long time to meet you." Jake froze. "How do you know my mother's name?" Vora walked closer. "Because once, long ago, she saved my life." Jake couldn't believe it. His mother had never told him anything about aliens. She was a quiet woman, a simple scientist who worked late and smiled often. But now this alien queen claimed they had met? "That can't be true," Jake said. "My mom never left Earth." Lady Vora raised her hand. A beam of light shone down from the ceiling, and a hologram appeared. A younger version of Jake's mother standing beside Lady Vora. They were both smiling. Jake's heart raced. "She came here before you were born," Vora said. "She was part of something greater. Something she chose to hide to protect you." Jake didn't know what to say. His legs felt weak. Everything he believed about his life was shaking. Nail stepped forward. "I didn't know either," he said. "My mother only told me yesterday." Vora nodded. "You were brought here because your blood holds something important, something ancient, and now it is time for you to see." She walked to a small chest and opened it. Inside was a necklace, old, dusty, but still shining faintly. Jake stared at it. He had seen it before in pictures hanging from his mother's neck. "This was hers," Jake whispered. "Yes," Vora said. "She gave it to me when she left. She said her child would one day need it." Jake touched the necklace. As he did, a sharp flash of light filled the room. In that moment, Jake saw things not with his eyes but inside his mind. He saw stars exploding, ships flying through black space, and a strange glowing crystal buried deep underground. He gasped and pulled back. "What was that?" "Memories," Vora said. "Some yours, some not. The necklace is a key, and it responds to your blood." Jake looked at his hand. It trembled. "Why me?" "Because you are more than just human," Vora said quietly. "You are part of something very old, and your mother was trying to protect you from it." The room fell silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now," Vora said. "You choose. You can return to your world and forget all this, or you can stay and learn who you really are." Jake looked at Nail. His friend gave him a small nod, and then Jake looked at the necklace in his hand. Something inside him knew this was only the beginning. "I'll stay," he said. Vora smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. Then come with me, she said. There is much you must see, and even more that others will try to hide. As Jake followed her deeper into the alien palace, he knew one thing for sure. His life on Earth was over. And whatever came next, it would change everything. Secrets of the past. Jake walked behind Lady Vora, his mind spinning. The halls of the alien palace grew darker and quieter as they went deeper underground. The glowing walls turned from soft green to deep blue. Strange symbols floated in the air, shifting, like mist. Something heavy pressed on Jake's chest. Not fear, but something older, like a warning. Where are we going? Jake asked. To the archive chamber, Vora replied. It's where the hidden truths are kept. Truths your mother knew. Truths she never wanted you to see. Jake's heart beat faster. Why now? Vora stopped. She turned to look at him. Because the ones who buried those truths are starting to dig them up again. They entered a round room with a high ceiling. In the center was a glowing table made of glass and crystal. Thousands of tiny lights floated above it like stars. It looked like a galaxy frozen in time. Vora waved her hand and the stars began to move. They twisted into shapes. Ships, planets, faces. Decades ago, she said, a secret mission brought a group of humans to Vayari space. They weren't soldiers. They were scientists, explorers, and protectors of something powerful. Small figure appeared. It was Jake's mother, younger and dressed in a black suit with a glowing badge. She stood beside a group of Vayari warriors, one of them clearly Vora herself. Your mother, Lyra, was one of them, but she wasn't just a scientist. She was a guardian of something ancient, something buried deep under a forgotten moon. We called it the Source. What is the Source? Jake asked. No one knows where it came from, Vora said. Some believe it's a piece of a dead god. Others say it's a weapon that can bend time. But one thing is clear. Only a human mind can unlock it, and only a Vayari heart can understand it. Jake stared at the image of his mother. What happened to the team? They were betrayed, Vora said. Someone leaked their location to the Galactic Shadow Council. Your mother was the only one who escaped. She took the necklace and disappeared from the stars. She wanted to protect you. Jake stepped closer to the table. The images shifted again, showing a silver moon surrounded by broken ships and fire. Then a map appeared. Planets marked in red, with one glowing blue. Jake froze. He had seen that map before in his dreams. I've seen this, he whispered. I don't know how, but I know this place. Vora nodded slowly. That's because it calls to your blood. The Source remembers the children of those who touched it. And you are the last one left. But why me? Jake asked, voice shaking. I'm just a kid from Earth. I didn't ask for any of this. Your mother made the choice for you, Vora said. She hid you among humans, hoping no one would ever find you. But now the Council is searching again, and they've learned that the key may live inside you. Jake sat down, his head spinning. Everything he knew was crumbling. Nail came close and sat beside him. I didn't know any of this either. My mother never told me. But she believes in you, Jake. And so do I. Jake looked up. Why would she believe in me? Because, Vora said, stepping forward, your mother gave her life to save mine. And she said one thing before she left. Vora touched the glowing table again. A new image appeared. A recording. Jake's mother stood in front of the camera. She looked tired, her face dirty, but her voice was strong. If you're seeing this, she said, then they found you. You're stronger than you think, Jake. You're not just my son. You're the last bridge between our two races. The galaxy needs you, even if you don't want it. The image flickered and disappeared. Jake stared at the empty space where her face had been. His eyes burned. Why didn't she tell me? Because if she had, Vora said gently, You would have been hunted since birth. Suddenly, alarms rang through the chamber. Red lights flashed across the walls. What's happening? Jake asked, standing up. A Vayari guard rushed in. A ship has entered our atmosphere, unmarked. Stealth mode. It refuses to answer our calls. Vora's face hardened. They've found him. Who? Jake asked, his voice rising. The bounty hunter, Vora said. The council has sent one of their best. He's not here to talk. He's here to take you. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. We have to run, Nail said. No, Vora replied. We don't run, we hide what must be hidden. Jake, come with me. Now. They rushed through the dark halls deeper into the mountain. The walls seemed to hum with fear. Vora led them into a secret door, which opened to reveal a hidden room, filled with old weapons, maps, and a small crystal chamber. This, she said, is where the truth lives, and it's time you saw what your blood can unlock. Jake stepped forward. The crystal chamber lit up. Inside it, something began to glow, something that looked alive. As the walls closed behind them, Jake whispered, What if I'm not ready? Vora placed a hand on his shoulder. None of us ever are, but the galaxy does not wait for the ready. It waits for the chosen. The blood key, the hidden room, was cold, not because of the air, but because of what it held. Jake stood in front of the crystal chamber, breathing slowly. Inside it, a large black stone floated above a metal base. Cracks ran across its surface, glowing faintly with red and blue light. It pulsed like a heart, slow and ancient. Nail stepped beside him. That's the source, he whispered. It's been silent for decades. But now it's reacting, Vora said, because of you. The moment Jake entered, the stone began to hum. The lights in the room flickered and the air itself seemed to twist. It felt like time slowed down, like something was watching them. Vora walked to a control panel on the side wall. Her fingers moved over glowing symbols. This chamber was built to test the bond, she said. Your mother was the last to try, but her blood was not enough. What do you mean? Jake asked, heart pounding. Vora looked at him. Only someone with the right bloodline can unlock the source. It must be mixed, part human and part something more. Part something more? Jake asked. We'll see, Vora said. Give me your hand. Hesitating, Jake stepped forward. Vora took a small needle-like tool from the panel. She touched it to Jake's finger. A drop of blood appeared, glowing slightly under the strange light. She walked to the stone and let the drop fall onto its surface. The stone absorbed it instantly. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the ground shook. The cracks in the stone flared with brilliant red. The lights in the room turned white. A loud hum filled the air. The stone began to spin. Nail stepped back in shock. It's waking up. Jake watched, frozen, as the stone rose higher. From its center, a beam of light shot into the ceiling. The chamber filled with ghostly voices, whispering in languages Jake couldn't understand. Shadows moved along the walls, shadows of creatures not present in the room. Vora stared at the stone. Her face was pale. No one has ever done this before. What's happening? Jake asked. It's reading your blood, she said, and your memories. The stone began to show images, floating in the air like dreams. A crying baby in a steel room. A woman running through fire. A battle in space. A hand reaching into darkness. And then, a face Jake didn't recognize. A woman with silver eyes standing on a burning ship. Who is that? Jake asked. Vora didn't speak, but the stone answered. A voice echoed across the room. Not male or female, not young or old. It was something else. The child of fire and light has returned. The voice spoke again, softer this time. The gate is open. Suddenly the beam of light stopped. The stone fell silent again and slowly returned to its place. The room was quiet. Nail whispered, What was that? Vora looked at Jake carefully. You activated the first layer. What does that mean? There are 3, she said. 3 layers. Each reveals a piece of the truth, but only if you are strong enough. Jake took a shaky breath. And if I'm not? Then it will destroy you, Vora said calmly. Before Jake could ask more, the hidden door behind them opened. A soldier rushed in, his voice urgent. Lady Vora, the bounty hunter is here. He's broken our sky shield. Our guards can't hold him. Vora cursed in her native tongue. He came faster than expected. We must move the boy, the guard said. No, Vora said. He stays with me. Seal the chamber behind us, no one follows. As they rushed through the underground halls, Nail whispered, This hunter who is he? Not a man, Vora said. He's called Vakar, half machine, half life, created by the Shadow Council to hunt beings like Jake. He never misses. Can we fight him? Jake asked. No, she said. But we can outsmart him. They entered another chamber, this one filled with mirrors and floating stones. Vora waved her hand and a portal opened in the air, swirling like smoke and fire. Step through, she said. This will take you to the sanctuary. It's far from here. Hidden, even from Vakar. Jake paused. What about you? I'll hold him off, she said. Nail grabbed Jake's arm. We have to go. Jake stepped toward the portal, but stopped. Vora, he said. Earlier, you said my blood was part something more. What did you mean? Vora didn't answer right away. Then she looked at him with eyes filled with sorrow. Because your mother was not fully human, she said. And your father was not from Earth. Before Jake could speak, Nail pulled him into the portal. The last thing he saw was Vora turning toward the chamber door. As heavy footsteps echoed closer, the portal closed, and everything went dark. The Shadow Council, the portal spat Jake and Nail out into a cold, rocky cave. Blue mist swirled around them. The air was thin, and the sky above the cave mouth was dark red. Strange creatures chirped in the distance, and the ground beneath their feet was cracked and dry. Jake stood slowly, still dizzy. Where are we? Nail looked around, scanning the cave walls with his glowing wristband. This is Orion 7, a dead planet. But the sanctuary is here. Somewhere. Vora said it's hidden, Jake muttered, rubbing his head. But from who? What exactly is the Shadow Council? Nail looked uneasy. They're the real power in the galaxy. Not kings or rulers, but watchers. They hide in the dark and control everything from behind the curtain. They hate humans, especially humans who know too much. And now they're hunting me, Jake said. Because of what you carry, Nail nodded. And what you might become. They moved deeper into the cave. The walls glowed faintly with alien symbols pulsing as they walked past. Suddenly, the ground shifted and part of the cave floor slid open. Jake jumped back as stairs formed, going down into the earth. That wasn't natural, he said. It means we're close, Nail replied. They followed the stairs into the darkness. Torches lit by strange blue fire lined the walls. At the bottom was a round metal door with a handprint glowing in the center. Put your hand there, Nail said. Jake hesitated. What if it's a trap? It's your sanctuary, Nail said. Only you can open it. Jake touched the panel. It scanned his hand, then his blood. The metal groaned and slid open, revealing a small chamber lit by crystals. At the center was a circle of stone, and on it lay a small glowing cube. What is that? Jake asked. Nail stepped forward slowly. A memory core. Jake raised an eyebrow. A what? Ancient tech, Nail explained. It holds secrets, thoughts, messages. If this one's here, it's probably from your mother, or from someone she trusted. Jake walked to the cube. The moment he touched it, light shot into the air and a figure appeared. A woman in a black coat stood tall, her face serious and scarred. This is Commander Rhea of the Helix Resistance, the figure said. If you're hearing this, the boy has awakened the source. The Council will not stop. They will burn planets to find him. This was recorded after the fall, Nael whispered. We failed to destroy the source, Commander Rhea continued. But Lyra, the boy's mother, found another way. She escaped with the blood key. Her child is the final piece. Me? Jake whispered. Listen closely. The message went on. The Council fears the truth. They fear the day. Humans remember who they really are. Not the weak ones left on Earth, but the ancient ones. The warriors. The builders. The ones who vanished from the stars long ago. The light faded. What does she mean? Jake asked, stepping back. Vanished? Builders? Nael looked shocked. There are old legends, stories the Council buried. They say humans were once the rulers of the stars, but one day they disappeared, wiped out. Or maybe they hid. Jake's voice was shaky. So I'm from a race that used to rule, and now the rulers want me dead. Because if you awaken, what's inside you? Nael said. The galaxy changes. Just then the walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A voice echoed through the cave, cold and mechanical. Human signature detected. You cannot hide. Jake's heart froze. That's him, the bounty hunter. We have to run, Nael said, grabbing Jake's arm. But the entrance sealed shut with a loud thud. The lights flickered. Something heavy moved just beyond the chamber door. Jake could feel it. Cold, sharp, and angry. Prepare for extraction, the voice said. Suddenly, a dark figure burst through the wall, tall, armored, with metal wings and glowing red eyes. Half his face was machine, the other half was scarred flesh. Target identified, he growled. Subject Jake of Earth, blood key holder. Nael raised his weapon. Back off, Vakar. The bounty hunter didn't flinch. He raised one hand and Nael's weapon flew from his grip, crushed in the air. I don't need to kill you, Vakar said to Jake. But I will, if you resist. Jake's breath came fast. His mind raced. What do you want? Your blood, Vakar said. The Council will extract it and burn the rest. The source will be buried again. History will remain as they want it. No, Jake said. I won't let you erase everything. Vakar stepped forward. Then you will die. But, just as he raised his weapon, the floor beneath Jake lit up. Vora had planted something. A failsafe. The entire sanctuary exploded with light. Shields formed around Jake and Nael. Vakar screamed as beams of energy cut through the chamber. Emergency extraction, Nael yelled. A second portal opened. Smaller, unstable, but enough. They jumped through it, just as Vakar's blade hit the stone where Jake had stood. As the portal closed, Vakar stared at the place where they had vanished. You can run, Blood Key, he whispered. But the shadow always finds the light. Hunted, the portal threw Jake and Nael into a storm. Lightning flashed. Rain hit their faces like stones. They landed hard on wet metal, the roof of an old station floating above a black ocean. Waves roared below. The sky was red, and the wind screamed like it was alive. Jake groaned and rolled over. Where are we now? Nael pulled him up quickly. One of the old relay stations, long abandoned, no ships, no comms. It was the only safe portal I could find. Safe? Jake looked around. This doesn't feel safe. A deep metal groan came from below. The station shook. Somewhere inside, machinery moved, old and angry. Nael frowned. We're not alone. They entered through a hatch and moved down rusted stairs into the dark halls of the station. Flickering, lights barely showed the path. Puddles of black water covered the floor. Everything smelled like metal, oil, and old death. Jake stayed close. How long before Vakar finds us again? Nael shook his head. Not long. He can track energy signatures, especially from the source. And now that you've touched it, twice, we're glowing beacons, Jake finished. They passed a broken control room. Inside, something moved. Jake stopped, staring into the dark. Wait, is that? A figure sat slumped in a chair wearing an old Earth uniform. His face was pale, but his eyes were open. Barely. He's alive, Jake said. They rushed, and Nael scanned the man. Low heart rate, failing organs, he won't last long, the man whispered. You are the boy. Jake knelt beside him. How do you know who I am? The man gave a weak smile. I knew your mother, Lyra. I was part of her mission, the last survivor. Jake's chest tightened. What happened? The man coughed. They betrayed us, the council. They sent Vekar to wipe us out. She ran to save you. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a tiny glowing crystal. This is the real map. It leads to the vault. The truth is there, everything the council fears. Your past, your kind. Jake took the crystal carefully. The man gripped his arm. You are not just human. You are the end of the silence. When you open that vault, they will come, all of them. His grip loosened. The light faded from his eyes. He was gone. Nael closed the man's eyes gently. He waited here all this time. Just for you. Jake stared at the crystal. He said, I'm the end of the silence. What does that mean? It means your people weren't lost, Nael said. They were erased. Suddenly, alarms wailed through the station. Red lights flashed. Energy spike detected. A robotic voice said, Incoming vessel. Unknown signature. Jake's heart sank. He found us. Outside, through the broken window, a black ship descended from the clouds. It was long and sharp like a spear made of shadows. Red lights burned along its hull. It had no markings, only death. Nael grabbed Jake's arm. We need to move, now. They ran through narrow halls down into the engine room, but every exit was locked. The portal device was broken. The ship had shut everything down. We're trapped, Jake said. Not yet, Nael replied. There's one last escape pod, but it's old. It can't go far. We don't need far, Jake said. Just away. As they reached the pod, the walls behind them exploded. Vekar stepped through, glowing red in the smoke. His metal wings spread wide, his blade ready. You run well, he said. But the hunt ends now. Nael stepped in front of Jake. You'll have to go through me. Vekar didn't speak. He raised one hand and lightning shot out, throwing Nael against the wall. He collapsed, not moving. Jake screamed. Nael! Vekar walked toward him slowly. The source must sleep again. Your blood is dangerous. Jake backed into the pod. You're afraid of me. No, Vekar said. I am afraid of what you'll awaken. He raised his blade. But Jake, without thinking, held out the crystal the dying man gave him. It pulsed with a strange light. Vekar froze. Where did you get that? He demanded. Jake didn't answer. The crystal flashed. And for 1 second, Vekar saw something. A memory. A world on fire. Children of light standing against darkness. A voice spoke in his mind. One he hadn't heard in years. Return, it said. Remember. Vekar stumbled. His hand shook. Jake slammed the pod. He grabbed Nael's arm and pulled him inside. Launching, Jake shouted. The pod shook, then blasted into the sky. The station disappeared below as the ocean swallowed it. Nael groaned, waking up. Did we get away? Barely, Jake said, breathing hard. Nael looked at him. What did you do? I showed him the truth, Jake said. And I think it scared him. The pod drifted into space, floating toward a small moon in the distance. Behind them, Vekar watched the stars, silent and shaken. He had hunted many things across the galaxy, but now he wasn't sure what Jake truly was. The hidden truth. The escape pod landed with a soft crash on the dusty surface of a small moon. The sky above was black and silent. No stars, no sun, just endless darkness. Jake helped Nael out of the pod. The wind here was dry and strange, carrying whispers that weren't real. The ground beneath them was cracked, as if something heavy, had once pressed down and then vanished. Nail limped slightly, still weak from Vikar's attack. "This place is dead," he said. "Are you sure this is where the map led us?" Jake held the glowing crystal tightly. The light pointed here before it faded. "This moon, it's important." They moved across the surface, past broken towers buried in dust. Pieces of metal stuck out like bones. Symbols Jake didn't recognize glowed faintly on the walls of an ancient ruin ahead. They entered the ruins carefully. It was quiet. Too quiet. Inside, they found a giant door carved into the stone. It had no handle, no panel, just one strange shape in the center, a symbol of two hands touching. Jake reached toward it. As soon as his fingers touched the symbol, the stone door trembled and slowly slid open. A soft blue light poured out from inside. They stepped in. The chamber was wide and round, like the inside of a planet. Lights floated in the air, spinning slowly. In the middle stood a single glowing platform. On the platform was a chair. And sitting in that chair there was a woman, not alive, but not dead either. Her body was still, frozen in time. Her skin was pale gold, her eyes closed. She looked peaceful, like she had just fallen asleep. Jake stepped closer. He froze. "Nael, she looks like me." Nael walked to the side. "That's not possible." But Jake was already moving toward her. Something inside him, not memory but instinct, told him he knew her. There was a small device floating above her hand. Jake touched it gently, and it lit up. A soft voice filled the room. "To the one who carries both bloods, welcome." The woman's eyes opened. Jake gasped and stepped back, but she didn't move. Only her voice continued. "My name is Aelari. Long ago I gave birth to a child of light and storm. He was taken from me during the war between the Council and the Lost." Jake's mouth went dry. "This is my mother," he whispered. Nail stared. "Vora said your father wasn't from Earth. This must be her. She's your real mother," the voice continued. "Your human mother, Lyra, took you. She protected you when I could not. She raised you in silence, far from the eyes of the Council. Now, if you are here, it means the Source has called you home." Jake's hands trembled. Second voice appeared. This time it was Lyra, Jake's human mother. Another message, left inside the room. "Jake, if you made it this far, then I've failed to keep the truth from you. I only wanted you to have a normal life. But you were never meant to be normal." Her voice broke, just a little. "You were meant to bring back the balance. To remind the galaxy who the humans really were. Not conquerors, not slaves, but guardians." Nail turned to Jake. "You are the link between two worlds. And that's why they're afraid," Jake said. "Because if I awaken the vault, they lose control." Suddenly, the floating lights began to spin faster. The air shifted. Something deep below the moon began to move. A staircase opened behind the chamber, leading down into the dark. Jake walked toward it, but Nail grabbed his arm. "Think," he said. "If you go down there, you can't go back. Whatever is below, it will change everything." "I've already changed," Jake said quietly. They descended the stairs. The steps lit up under Jake's feet. The deeper they went, the louder a hum became. Not a sound, but a feeling inside the chest. They reached the bottom. A massive door stood there, covered in old human and Vayari writing. Jake could read both somehow. Truth sleeps within. Only blood unites. He placed both hands on the door. It opened. Inside was a giant room, filled with walls of light, showing scenes from forgotten times. Human ships flying through galaxies. Massive cities on floating mountains. Humans and Vayari standing together building worlds. Nail whispered, "These are records." "No," Jake said. "They're memories. The real history. The Council erased all this." Suddenly, one of the walls flickered. Vikar's face appeared. "You should not have come here," he said. He was watching them. "You think truth will save you? The galaxy fears truth. They fear change. They fear you." Jake stared at him. I'm not afraid. Vekar's eyes narrowed. Then prepare. The council comes. All of them. The screen went black. Outside the moon, hundreds of ships were already arriving, forming a ring of fire around the forgotten place. Nail turned to Jake. What do we do? Jake looked around at the glowing walls, the sleeping past, the silent truth. We wake them up. The bridge between worlds, the moon trembled. Deep underground in the vault of forgotten truths, Jake stood at the center of the glowing room. Lights danced around him. Old memories, real history, lost voices that once shaped the stars. But now those stars were closing in. Above the surface, the sky burned red. Nail stepped to the edge of the memory chamber, watching symbols flicker and vanish. They're here, he said. Hundreds of ships, maybe more. The council? Jake asked, though he already knew. Nail nodded. They've blocked every escape route. They came to finish what they started. Jake turned to the ancient chair where the golden-skinned woman, his true mother Elari, still sat. Though her body hadn't moved, her voice now echoed in the chamber. If you wish to awaken the vault fully, she said, you must choose what you become. Part of one world, or both. What happens if I choose both? Jake asked. Elari's voice softened. Then you will be the bridge. But bridges carry weight. Once you connect what has been broken, the war will no longer be in the shadows. Above ground, the enemy ships began their descent. The ground shook. Nail checked his scanner. Dropships incoming. Council troops. Heavy armor. They're not here to talk. Jake looked at the crystal platform. The last step of the vault pulsed. Waiting. You don't have to do this, Nail said. Yes, I do, Jake replied. My whole life I thought I was nothing. Now I know I'm everything. They fear. He stepped onto the platform. At once, beams of light shot into his chest, his mind, his blood. The vault scanned every part of him, human and Vayari both. Pain rushed through his body, but he did not scream. Images filled his head, his mother, holding him as a baby, Aelari placing him inside a hidden pod, Lyra escaping through a burning ship, Vakar's blade cutting through the stars, the galaxy crying for balance. And then, silence. Inside the vault, a pulse grew louder. The floor glowed with golden light. From the ceiling, symbols fell like rain. Something deep in the moon opened. A hidden chamber rose from below, and inside it stood a beacon, not a weapon, a message. Jake reached out as he touched it. The beacon exploded with light. A wave of truth shot out of the moon and into space. It passed through enemy ships. It struck satellites, old data vaults, broken archives. Everywhere it touched, secrets unlocked. Lies burned away, and across the galaxy, billions saw what had been hidden. They saw the old cities, the unity, the betrayal. They saw what the Council had done. Aboard the lead ship, Council commanders watched in horror as their control began to crumble. "What is this?" one shouted. "Unauthorized data release," another cried. "Planetary systems are receiving the same message everywhere. Shut it down," screamed a voice. But it was too late. The truth had escaped. On the moon, the vault doors opened fully, revealing a wide platform facing the sky. Jake walked out slowly, his body glowing with energy. Ships hovered above him. Troopers landed all around. They raised weapons. Vikar stood at the front, staring up at Jake. "You opened it," he said. "You've doomed us all." "No," Jake replied. "I freed us." Vikar raised his blade. But the soldiers behind him, some Vayari, some from other races, hesitated. They had seen the truth too. One by one, they lowered their weapons. Vikar turned. "You cowards." But one soldier stepped forward. "We serve the Council Eye to protect order. But you never told us the full story." Another soldier said, "What he showed us. It's not madness. It's what we lost." Vikar's grip tightened. Jake looked at him. You were made to hunt people like me, he said. But maybe you were also meant to remember who you once were. Vikar's blade dropped a few inches. He took a shaky breath. What now? Jake stepped forward. Now, we choose. We either keep living in fear, or we build something better, together. High above, the beacon still pulsed. Across the galaxy, people gathered in silence. Humans in distant colonies, Vayari elders, alien leaders, children who had never known peace. They all stared at the message burning through the skies. One sentence shone brighter than all others. The forgotten have returned. On the moon, Vakar lowered his blade fully. Nail walked beside Jake. You did it, he said. You changed everything. Not yet, Jake replied. But we've started. In the days that followed, messages poured into the vault, not of war, but of hope. Alliances were reborn. Old laws were questioned. New ideas took root. People who had feared humans now saw them as something else. Not monsters, not enemies, but something ancient. Something real. Jake didn't return to Earth. He stayed on the moon, now called the Bridge. And every day more ships arrived, not to fight, but to listen. Because once, a boy met an alien's mother, and now, her truth had lit the stars.